beginning the gift that wasn't. The storm that roared outside the hangar had teeth, electrical winds that snapped across the barren desert of Karth. 9. A forgotten mining moon orbiting the gas giant Epsilon Ura. Inside the dimly lit mechanic bay, Evan Thorne, the last human engineer left on this rock, was elbow-deep in the engine of a battered alien freighter. The rhythmic hum of tools was his only company.
He didn't mind.
Machines didn't lie. They didn't judge. They just needed fixing, and fixing things was the only reason Evan was still breathing. That night, however, his quiet life would change forever. The intercom crackled with a harsh alien accent.
Thorne.
Docking Bay 6. You have a delivery. By decree of the Zarkothian Empire. Evan frowned, wiping grease from his hands. The Zarkothians were the dominant empire of this quadrant, towering, scaled humanoids with sharp tusks and sharper politics. Their emperor was infamous for arrogance and cruelty. He trudged toward Base 6, expecting a broken shipment or, at worst, a malfunctioning drone. Instead, a gilded pod sat gleaming under the floodlights. 2 Zarkothian guards stood beside it, trying and failing to hide their smirks. By command of Emperor Rhazul, one sneered, "We present to you his daughter." The pod hissed open. Steam poured out, revealing a figure stepping forward slowly. Princess Liora Rhazul, the Emperor's youngest and most ridiculed child. Her skin was a deep violet hue, her eyes like twin suns, but her body was fuller than the willowy Zarkothian standard. Her ornate gown strained slightly against her frame, and her jaw was set in a defiant frown. "You are Evan Thorne?" she asked, her voice low and melodic. Evan blinked. Yeah, human mechanic. What's going on?" "My father," she said bitterly, "has sent me to assist you." A diplomatic gesture. The guards burst into laughter. One muttered, more like punishment for both of them. Then they left, the shuttle roaring into the clouds. Liora's gaze dropped to the floor. For a moment, Evan saw through the arrogance of alien royalty to the truth. She'd been humiliated, exiled as a joke. He sighed and gestured toward the workbench. "Well, Princess, welcome to Karth 9. Hope you don't mind dust." "I have nowhere else to go," she murmured. And just like that, the strangest partnership in the sector began. Middle, the mechanic, and the princess. Days turned into weeks. Liora tried to help in the hangar, though her delicate royal hands weren't used to tools. The first time she tried to lift a plasma wrench, she dropped it onto her foot and cursed so creatively Evan nearly choked laughing. "Do all humans find clumsiness amusing?" she snapped, crossing her arms. "Only when it's adorable," Evan replied without thinking. Liora blinked, surprised. No one had ever called her that before. At first, she stayed quiet most days, sitting near the heat coils reading old holobooks. But soon, she began asking questions about engines, about welding, about human art and history. Evan found himself teaching her how to calibrate plasma conduits and rewire fusion drives. She learned fast, and she laughed, a low, genuine sound that filled the empty hangar like sunlight. "You humans build things as if you're always fighting time," she said once, tightening a bolt. "We are," he said. "Time takes everything, so we build what we can before it does." Liora looked at him, her eyes soft. "And do you always fix what's broken?" "If I can," he said. "Sometimes even people." That night, as the storm outside shimmered across the alien horizon, Liora sat alone in her quarters, staring at her reflection. In Zarkothian society, she'd been mocked, dismissed, told her body was a disgrace to her father's legacy. Yet here, this human didn't look at her with disgust. He looked at her as if she belonged. Over the following months, They rebuilt the freighter together. It became their shared project, its name painted in white letters across the hull, the second chance. And maybe it was exactly that. But peace never lasts long on Karth. 9. Conflict, the Emperor's wrath. 6 months later, a massive war cruiser entered orbit. The Zarkothian insignia gleamed like fire across its hull. Liora's scales paled. "My father," she whispered. A hologram flickered to life in the hangar, Emperor Rhazul, towering and cold. His tusks gleamed, his voice like thunder.
"Daughter,
"I sent you to that forsaken moon to remind you of your station, not to soil yourself with human filth." Evan bristled. "Hey, I'm right here." Rhazul's eyes narrowed. "You will be dust soon enough, human. Liora, prepare yourself. You return to the Empire immediately." But Liora stepped forward, chin raised. "No, father. I am not leaving." The Emperor blinked. "You dare defy me?" Her voice trembled, but she held firm. "You sent me here to humiliate me. But here, I found purpose. I found someone who sees me, not as a burden, not as a joke, but as an equal." Rhazul's snarl echoed through the hangar. "Then you are dead to me. Both of you." The hologram vanished. Moments later, the sky erupted in fire, drop pods screaming through the clouds. Zarkothian troops flooded the mining base. Evan grabbed Liora's hand. "Run." They ducked behind the freighter as plasma blasts scorched the metal walls. He fired back with a repurposed welding blaster, while Liora rerouted the hangar's defense grid. "Overload the coils." Evan shouted. "That'll blow the whole bay," she cried. "Exactly." Together, they triggered a power surge that rippled through the station. The explosion tore through the Zarkothian troops, sending the cruiser reeling from the blast wave. When the smoke cleared, the hangar was half ruined, but they were alive. "Remind me," Liora panted, "to never underestimate a human's recklessness again." "Noted." Evan grinned, brushing dust from her shoulder. "You okay?" "Better than okay," she said softly. They boarded the second chance, engines roaring to life for the first time. As they rose through the atmosphere, Evan looked at her, truly looked, and realized he didn't want to go anywhere she wasn't. Ending the second chance. For months, they drifted through uncharted space, two fugitives against an empire. They scavenged, repaired ships, and helped stranded travelers. Liora proved brilliant with alien languages and diplomacy. Evan handled the engineering. They were opposites in every sense, human and alien, mechanic and princess, but together, they were unstoppable. One night, as the ship floated near the glowing rings of Alara Prime, they shared a quiet moment in the observation deck. "You know," Evan said, "back on Earth, there's this old saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder." Liora tilted her head. "Meaning?" "Meaning you're perfect to me, no matter what your father or anyone thinks."